that's the biggest mistake founders make.
And managing partner would not have been easy. There was a glass ceiling in place. Am I right?
They said, talk about it, right? If you are going to split, how will this contract work?
And actually bring in a segue, which is the counter of that, which is when there are multiple founders, there is the opposite risk of splits.
More splits and fights and disagreements. And
you've been through your own personal journey in that context.
Yep.
So what can you channel from that to advise them on how to anticipate, how to prepare for the risk that your co-founder, who might be your significant other frequently, but even if not, there are grave risks and you have to watch your backside, right? And because Pallavi has the particular experience in that context, I'll ask her to go first.
Because they all end up there first, right? If they have a
वो
problem.
बाद में, वो तो बात की बात है. But imagine she's had to take her own medicine, right? In some sense of the word.
But at a certain scale, right? So the problem is when you're younger, I mean, young companies splitting, but they still end up in a leader.
But wouldn't have been easy. And as I understand the story, if the split hadn't happened, managing partner would not have been easy. There was a glass ceiling in place. Am I right? So that's what I'd like you to talk about. So they all.
I can tell you one thing. Any split, whether it's from your better half, who's also your partner, or just a professional partner, is always very, very painful. It's emotional journey, but sometimes your heart will have to be put back and your head will have to take over. And you have to be convinced that what you're doing is for the better. Better for the organization at first, because the organization comes above everything. We had a split, and I'm open about it, everybody knows about this. So we had a split in the family in 2014, 2015. And Amarchand Mangaldas became Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas, Sam, and Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas. And it was a painful journey, very, very painful journey when brothers split. You know, soon after the mother died, the brothers split. And it wasn't easy. It was very, very emotional, very, very painful. But, you know, we sat back and said, it is better to split and be happy than to be together and actually be upset every single day of your life. Because you don't get along with somebody, somebody's views are different from you. But two things became very important. First, we went through that journey, the first thing we decided, or we were thinking simultaneously, is, of course, you plan for whatever you want, your rights, how do you want to split? So that was one part. But what is it that we wanted for the future? How are we different from what we were? And how did we want to be different from what we were in the past? That was actually the real journey that I went through. And both Shardul and I had gone through. And we had a vision of what we wanted to be, very distinct from what we were earlier. And I thought that was the real challenge. That was painful, but this was the challenge. This was a dream that we had. It was a blank canvas, and we knew we could do whatever we wanted. 8 years down the line, we started with 300 people. We are 800 lawyers today across the firm, 160 partners. It's just a dream that you want to build. Just go after it and build it. Also, okay, I took over as a managing partner when the firm split. Originally, the two brothers were the two managing partners of the firm. And would I have ever become a managing partner? Probably no, so long as the brothers remain. But soon after we split, I think my husband was very clear that he needs to step up in that sense. And, you know, when you step up, you step a little back. And I became the managing partner of the firm 8 years ago. And, you know, things are very different for me. To take that responsibility, in addition to the work that I do, because I don't want to give up my work, it's a challenge. I stretch my day 24 hours into 25, literally 25. Because as a managing partner, you're doing legal work. You do the admin of a large firm with 7 offices. I'm the face of the firm in many meetings. I do work with the government on policy and public policy and drafting legislation and all of that. So it's not easy. But again, I play a multitude of roles that keeps me challenged all the time. I enjoy playing these different roles. And, you know, it's a challenge that I love. If anybody says you can't do it, I will do it. I will definitely do it. That much I can tell you.
Out of time, but I'll just take 30 seconds, Anisha, with your permission. I think we have seen so many splits, right? At various points in the company's life. And very few of them happen amicably, privately, without damaging the company. And it doesn't have to be that way. Both contracts are never designed properly, and contracts, by the way, have nothing to do with the VCs, because I always counsel founders, think of everything. It's a corner case, but that's why you have a contract. If everything is great, why would you write a contract? So, and we have a little taboo about trying to address these corner cases because they put you in uncomfortable zones. And I say, talk about it, right? If you are going to split, how will this contract work? Now, the problems you have is a co-founder who has gone away but is sitting on the board. There's nothing in the contract to get them out of the board. There's no way to buy that co-founder out at fair market value. There are so many issues that are not addressed in the beginning, despite whatever advice we have to offer. It's your company, your culture, your philosophy. And often the biggest mistake founders make, and this has nothing to do with gender, is they have not addressed these potential landmines in upfront and put that down. And, God willing, you never have to face them, but put it down. And that's the biggest mistake founders make. And I think, but when the inevitable happens, the emotions run high and all kinds of stupid things happen, where somebody stops talking to somebody else, somebody does this, somebody does that. Worse yet, they go to social media, God knows why, that empathy, sympathy even matters. And I'm talking about realities that we face. And at least 40% of the companies have had a co-founder split. At some point, I'm not saying day one. Could be 3 years, could be 5 years, and there are a number of reasons. There's a whole conference I would advise Anisha does on this topic, because how do you make sure you don't lose on what you've built and you can have continuity of your business? But if you don't plan contracts, it's another thing that I think women don't read contracts. I'm maybe making a very broad general statement and might get slammed for it, but just educate yourself and create watertight contracts. And it's very, very important. I think, the best thing I've learned over years is selling and legal and HR. These are 3 things I didn't know when I started as an engineer. But these are 3 things as a leader and a CEO, you have to absolutely be on top of. Don't think that somebody else will do it for you. They will do the mechanics. But the philosophy, the culture, the soul of what you want, you have to own, because you're the founder. This is your company.
Vani, I want to make one comment on that. Even though you have
Anisha's
everything...
going to kill me, Pallavi.
Okay, one second. Even if you have a contract written and you contemplated everything, when there is a split, these contracts don't work at the end of the day. I've done enough splits and contracts and exits and disputes on exits and earnouts. I've done more than anybody's fair share here. Yeah. But there is so much of emotion. And these contracts get interpreted in many, many different ways. You end up in a litigation. I would say only one thing: put the company before anybody else, before your own individual. If all founders did that, it would be far less painful. But everybody puts, at that point, you put yourself first. What can I get out of it? What my ego comes in, and then it's a litigation.